for those of you who might not know, in 1960 to 61, 13 women took astronaut tests. They took the same tests as America's first astronauts, the Mercury 7. The difference was the Mercury 7 were all men, the Mercury 13 were all women, and Wally was one of them.
To me, it was very easy.
Yeah. But tell everybody when you started flying.
Okay, I was sent to Stevens College when I was 14. I never graduated from high school. And that was a girls' school. It was a very upbeat girls' school where you had to dress and be mannerful, and I was brought up that way, but I was not as good a student as Mother thought I was. So Dr. Bates called Mother and said, Mrs. Funk, your daughter's not doing too well in her studies. And Mother said, do you have an airport out there? She said, yeah. Then you get her out there in an airplane and start flying. And that's exactly how I got it. I got my private at 16 at Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri. Has anybody ever heard of that place? Okay, I graduated from Stevens, and in the meantime, I am a participant in the college, and so Oklahoma State is obviously where I was, and I was the only girl in the team, and we brought back a lot of trophies every year. For the 2 years I was there. Then I became a judge, and then I judged a lot of those schools. Yeah, so now this is where I started.
Because of her flying experience, that she was so good, that when a man called Dr. Lovelace, Randy Lovelace, no snickering at the back, when he had devised the astronaut tests for the Mercury 7, he was working for NASA, he wanted to know himself whether women could do the same, whether they could also pass these really tough physical tests. So he set up a program called Women in Space Program. It wasn't NASA funded, but it was overseen by him, who had this relationship with NASA. It was privately funded, and so the word went out, and he got one woman, first of all, as a sort of test guinea pig, an amazing woman called Jerry Cobb. She not only passed them, she passed better than most of the men. And so because of that, the word went out to find other women, exceptional pilots, who would also take the tests. They had to be between the age of 25 and 40, under 5'10", have a certain number of flying hours, and Wally was one of those women, but actually she wasn't originally on the list, not because she wasn't good enough, but because she was underage.
I was only 20, and my parents had to drive me from Taos to Albuquerque. I had to leave Oklahoma, Fort Sill. And we walked into the front desk, and they said, your parents have to sign you in because you're underage. Okay, do it. My parents did it, and off I went, and then I started my tests.
And of the women tested, 25 women took the tests. Unlike the men, they didn't do it as a group, they did it in twos. So the women never actually got to know who most of the other women were, apart from a couple, Jan and Marion Dietrich, because they were twins. So they obviously knew each other and knew what they were doing. But Wally's partner dropped out really quickly. So this woman did those really tough physical tests all by herself, with no one to encourage.
You can do it! You want something bad enough, you can do it!
But unfortunately, the Mercury 13 were never to go into space. The program was cancelled, the funding was cut, and they tried to get NASA to accept them, but NASA didn't take women until 1978. And 2 years after that, who went into space? Yeah, I'm hearing mutters? Yeah, Valentina Tereshkova. So the Americans had Wally, women like her, ready to go, and they missed their opportunity. But you're not bitter about it, are you, Wally?
No. Still, today.
And there she is, the wonderful
Valentina.
Valentina.
About Valentina, because I met Valentina Tereshkova when I was in Russia. So they get me in the centrifuge, and we go around and around and around. I thought, oh, a piece of cake. And then I'm supposed to push out a blue button or a red button or a green button or whatever. It's no big deal. And They get up to 5.5 Gs, and they said, Wally, I wanted to go more, because I had done 5 Gs in the Stearman. So it was no big deal. A lot of people threw up. A lot of people didn't want it. They wanted out. I'll take anything. You want to give it to me? Give it to me.
Now,
okay, what am I going to sing when I'm going up? One thing I didn't tell you all is that during one of the tests, and all these people querying me, they said, what kind of music do you like? I said, opera. And so they were thinking. All right, who wrote Nabucco? And I said, Verdi. Oh, their mouths dropped, and then they stopped the test because they said, well, this girl knows what she wants to do. I'll be singing opera.
and good luck in Wally Funk's race to space.